All right, so pretty important stuff here. When we get into classifying polynomials, there's basically two main ways we could do it. We could classify the polynomial based on its degree, or we could also classify the polynomial based on the number of terms that we see. Okay, so for the first example, if I give you just like the number 6, okay, and I ask you to classify it, okay, this is just, there's no variables, it's just a number by itself. Okay, if it is a number by itself, the degree of this polynomial is 0. Okay, there's no variables being raised to a power. Okay, if your degree is 0, we call this a constant. Okay, it's just a number that's by itself. That's the official word classifying this thing by its degree. Okay, but if it's just the number 6, there's only one term there. Okay, the number of terms is 1. And anytime you're dealing with an expression that is only one term, we call it a monomial. Okay, how do you remember that? Mono means 1. Okay, in comparison, let's look at the next one. We see negative 2x plus 4. So the degree of this term is going to be 1 because we have one variable and it's being raised to the first power. Okay, the degree of this polynomial is 1, and anytime you have a polynomial being raised to the first power that has a degree of 1, it's called a linear equation. Okay, so that's the degree. It's linear, but it's a two-term polynomial. We've got negative 2x and we've got a 4 separated by addition. If you have a two-term polynomial, the official word we use to describe it is called a binomial. Binomial. Bi means 2. Let's keep going. So for the next one, we see negative x squared plus 2x minus 5. That's an example. The degree of this polynomial is going to be 2. It's the highest exponent that we see. If the highest exponent you see is 2, we call this a quadratic. Might have thrown that word at you before, but if your degree is 2, it's called a quadratic equation. This one, though, if we count the number of terms, there's 1, 2, 3 terms. 3 terms means it is a trinomial. Once again, tri means 3, bi means 2, mono means 1. And the last one you might see, we got the example of 4x cubed minus 8x. So first, by degree, the highest exponent we see is 3. If the highest exponent you see is 3, it is called a cubic equation. But this only has 2 terms, 1, 2. If it's a 2-term polynomial, it's more specifically called a binomial. All right, this next part we're going to get into talks about combining like terms as well as like simplifying expressions. So what is the rule you have to follow when simplifying polynomials? The first rule is the same variables need to be raised to the same exponents in order to combine like terms. Okay, they have to match exactly. Okay, so to add or subtract polynomials, here's the rule. Keep the exponents the same and then just add or subtract their coefficients. Keep the exponents the same, add or subtract the numbers in front. So what we're trying to do here is we see this long, ugly expression and we're trying to squeeze it together as much as possible. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to search for like terms. Like terms have the same variables raised to the same exponents. So what I'm going to do first is I see some m's, m raised to the third power, m raised to the third power, and then I also see some m squareds, another m raised to the third power, and then also some numbers. Okay, what we're going to do first is we're going to try to squeeze this expression together as much as possible. We'll start by trying to squeeze together that m's raised to the third powers. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to underline anything that I see as m raised to the third power. So I've got this guy, I've got this guy, and I've also got this guy. I've got a -4, a -1, and a +2. Okay, because all of these terms are m raised to the third power, they are combinable. Now, the way we combine them is we just keep the exponent the same, keep the variable the same, but add or subtract the coefficients. So this number is -4, this number is -1, and that number is +2. So if I have -4 minus 1, that equals -5. And if I have -5 plus 2, that should give me -3. The new coefficient is going to be -3. But I keep the variable and I keep the exponent the same. It becomes m cubed. Okay, then I go to my next term. If I'm doing standard form, the next term I should look for is, do I have any m squareds? And I see this guy right here. I see 4m squared. And I ask myself, does it combine with anything? No, it doesn't look like it. So my next term in standard form should be a positive plus 4m squared. Then I check, do I have any just plain old m's? No, I don't. So I go on next to the numbers. Over here, I've got a positive 9 and a minus 17. If I have 9 minus 17, 9 minus 17, you can use a calculator if you want. It should give you -8. Okay, this is my equation in standard form. Alphabetical order, it's just m's, and my exponents go in descending order, 3, 2, and then the constant. Okay, so we can also classify this polynomial. What is the degree? What is the highest exponent you see in this polynomial? It looks like it's 3. The first term is 3. The degree is 3. If we wanted to call it by its name, this would be a cubic function. I'll draw that down here. And the name by the number of terms. How many terms do you count? There's 1, 2, 3. Because it's a 3-term expression, we call this a trinomial. Trinomial. Okay, let's do the exact same thing for the next one. So we've got some x's, we got some x cubes, x squareds, an x, and then a number. Let's combine the like terms first. So the highest exponent I see is 3. Let's start with that. I have an x cubed, I have a minus, and then I have a 7x cubed. Okay, so if I start with an x cubed and I subtract 7x cubes, I'll have 1 minus 7, and that's equal to -6. Add or subtract the coefficients, and then keep the variables the same. It should be x to the 3rd power. Okay. Go on to the next variable with a different exponent. So the next thing I see here is -3x squared. Let me change the color a little bit. That was blue. I see a -3x squared, and I see if I can combine with anything. -3x squared minus -5x squared. Okay, same exponents, so they are combinable. -3 minus -5 becomes -3 plus 5, and that should be +2. Keep the variable the same, keep the exponent the same, 2x squared. Keep going. See if you have any x's raised to the 1st power. I've got a plus 5x, and it looks like it doesn't combine with anything over there, so I just keep it as plus 5x. And then see if you can combine the numbers. Well, you've got a minus in front here, and then you see a plus 12. Minus +12 just becomes -12. Okay, this right here is your expression in standard form. Okay, what is this? What is the degree of this polynomial? It looks like the highest exponent we see is 3. The degree is 3. The name by degree, if the highest degree is 3, it's called a cubic function. And then the name by the number of terms. So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Okay, we haven't talked about 4-term polynomials yet. There is like special names for it, but anytime you're over 3, I don't really expect you to know the name. Let's just call this a 4-term polynomial. And I'll take that as a correct answer.